Alrighty. Alright, so here we go. So I'm Justin Bornay, and today I'm going to talk about something very, very cool about GitHub. So we all know we can host our code and projects on GitHub, but what we may not have known is that GitHub can actually host our websites using something called GitHub Pages, and that's really cool. So that's what we're going to go through today. So first, we're going to discuss what is GitHub Pages, why you should use it, and also what you can't do with GitHub Pages, how to get started. Also, we're going to go through starting a custom domain, and we're going to do an interactive demo, creating a simple static site, deploying the site to GitHub Pages, and then connecting a custom domain to the site. And then we'll go over questions. Alrighty, so what is GitHub Pages? GitHub Pages is a way to host your static files and websites on GitHub in a very convenient way. It's very simple to use, very simple to set up. It only requires like a minute of time. It's going to be really cool when you guys see how easy it is. And it's one of the best ways for all developers, really, new and experienced, to quickly get your website up. So GitHub Pages is awesome. Yeah, even though the WinHacks website, for instance, uses GitHub Pages, and it works perfectly. Yeah, and also GitHub Pages can render markdown files like readme.md to HTML, so that's another useful feature. So GitHub Pages is very useful. So why should you use GitHub Pages? Well, like I said, it's very easy to use. There are only a few steps needed. And yeah, that's another thing too. It's free. So you don't have to spend any money on it. So not only is it very easy, but it's also free. It's completely free to use GitHub Pages, so why not try it out? It's convenient. So because, in some instances without GitHub Pages, you would have to go onto, some other streaming platform to like get the code off of GitHub. And then every time you update it, you gotta git pull and then turn on your server, whatever. But in this case, we can use GitHub for everything. So we there's no polling, there's nothing like that. It's just easy. When you update your website, then it updates the URL as well. It updates it on the actual published site, and it's really cool. Yeah, and it's another convenient way to show off your work. So now let's go over some things that you can't do with GitHub Pages. So while GitHub Pages is very nice, there are certain things that you can't do with it. For example, you can't host backend websites. So you can't host a database or login system or anything like that. GitHub Pages is only for static content. For backend servers, you're going to need some sort of cloud service thing like Google Cloud Platform, for example. You'll need something like that. So the difference between backend and static is backend is more dynamic. It has code. Yeah, it'll be created using things like PHP. Oh yeah, PHP is so nice. Node.js, Python, like Flask, for example, Ruby on Rails, and other platforms as well. And it's very dynamic. But static is just normal HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And no, that is wrong. PHP is not the best. And another thing, you can't easily host websites that use front-end frameworks. So if you're using things like React or Svelte or other things, maybe Angular, you can host them on GitHub Pages, but it's a little bit more tricky. Basically, yeah, React, Svelte, and Vue, and you have to build the site in order to run it on GitHub Pages. You have to build it, and then it has to be built into static files, and then put on GitHub. Then it can be used. Other than that, like GitHub Pages can't run things dynamically. It's not like a server. It's just for static content. Yeah, so when you build a GitHub page, it creates all the static files. And that we won't be covering today, but there are many resources on how to use React or Vue or Svelte or Angular on GitHub pages. But yeah. Sheesh indeed. Sheesh indeed. All right, now let's talk about getting started. So first of all, like in the name, you need GitHub. You need a GitHub account. So if you don't have one, create one and then log in. Then create a new repository where you're going to host the site. Call it whatever you want, doesn't matter. Upload any files that you want that are going to be hosted. And yeah, that's another thing. Your main page, so the page that is going to be loaded first, is going to be index.html. You have to call it index.html. Then in your repository settings, you're going to go to GitHub pages and you're going to enable it. So you go to your repository settings and then go under the pages section and it'll bring you to GitHub pages. Under source, select a branch. It should probably either be main or master, but you can set it to another branch if you want to. Save, and then you can check out your new website. It'll automatically create a link for you. It's just the other thing is, it might take a minute or so to update. So when you click the link at the beginning, it might not work. So you may have to wait about a minute or so. Yep, it'll give you a link. Yeah, and every time you push to the repository, your website's going to be updated automatically. Alrighty, now we're going to talk about something cool. So GitHub Pages automatically gives you a domain. It's usually your username.github.io. But what if you want to make it your own domain? Like we said, we use this we use our WinHacks site for GitHub Pages. But how did we get the winhacks.ca custom domain? So first of all, you gotta actually own a domain. We recommend using Namecheap. Namecheap is awesome. You get to pick a name, and that name is cheap. Hence, Namecheap. And Namecheap is very, very cool. It has a lot of features. Then you can edit the domain's DNS records. So you'll create what's called a CNAME record, and we'll go over the settings on there later, but you'll make the host the subdomain you want. For example, www is a subdomain, and example.com is your main domain. Make the destination your username.github.io, that URL that GitHub gives you. Obviously, you'll replace your username with your GitHub username. And then here's the thing about Namecheap is it may take a bit to actually come into effect. So if you just create your record and then you try and go and put it in GitHub Pages, it might not work because GitHub Pages has to detect that it's valid and everything. So it might not work for the beginning. So you may have to wait. Then, you go back to the repository. You put your domain under the custom domain field. We'll go over that as well. And then, hey, check out your new website. Then there's also Apex domains on GitHub Pages. Now, that's if you don't want to make your website with a subdomain. If you don't want it to be your domain with a subdomain before, like if you don't want www.whatever or WinHacks or winhacks.yourname.whatever, then you could use Apex domains, which are the root domains. So for example, in the website www.example.com, www was the subdomain, and example.com is the Apex domain. That's when it gets a bit tricky. So instead of using Apex domains, you can learn about them. You'll have to make a bunch of A records and stuff, but instead of using Apex domains, if you're going to do this, we recommend doing the following. Configure the domain like we said before using a www.subdomain. Then create a URL redirect in your DNS settings that points your Apex domain, your main domain, so in this case example.com, to your www's subdomain. And I'll briefly show that later too. And yeah, and how you actually go about doing this may be different depending on if you got your domain from Namecheap or from somewhere else. And there's an article too posted in these slides that will go through. Alrighty. With that, let's do a little interactive demo. So right here, let's go right from the beginning. We're going to create a new repository. I'll call it sample site. Make it public. And let's create it. Here we go. So I can copy this link. All right, let's go to here. Yes. Now let's go to code. Git clone. Oh yeah, we cloned an empty repository, but that's okay. Now I cd into sample site, and I'm just going to run VS Code in there. Alrighty, so here is our sample site. Now we can build a site. Now building a site, depending on your skills, it could take a lot of work. So my brother a while ago made a little tool called Auto Magic Websites that we're just going to use for today. It's very nice, very easy to use. So I can hit register. Yep, he just linked it right there. And I can make that. That's my old thing right there. Let's say Lucia Blaze. Those are the names of my two cats. And then their name will be Lucia Blaze. Tagline, cat food developer. Why not? Image link. You can actually, what you can do is to get an easy image link, you can go into Discord and DM an image to whoever, like a friend or an alt account or whatever, and then paste it like that. So basically right click, hit copy link, and then paste it. For a LinkedIn profile, we can do, let's just redirect it to this. And then for GitHub, let's redirect it to that. An email, the email can be anything you want. It could be sample email at gmail.com. The password, set up whatever password you want. So you type your password, hit register. I don't care too much. Sure, why not? Let's save. Alrighty, now we registered and we logged in. So now we can go to my site to view what a site looks like. This is what it looks like. Lucia Blaze, and if we go to LinkedIn, it should go to WinHacks. And unfortunately, my cats don't have their own LinkedIn. And then there's GitHub, and then for email, it should. No, it'll open up like Outlook or something on your computer, but it's glitchy. That's okay. So we go back here. If you want to download your site, you can either go here and hit Control S, or you could go to download site right here. And I'm just gonna rewrite that like that. So I'm going to hit X there. And then what I'm also gonna do is I'm just gonna go and copy the file into my new site thing. So right over here, here's our index.html. And if we want to look at what it looks like, it's the same site as before. Lucia Blaze, that's my cat. This, can you guess which cat that is? Is it Lucia or is it Blaze? 3, 2, 1, it's Lucia. So that's my cat. Then we can go and commit our changes. Lots of development. No, we did do lots of development. We developed the website. Get push. Alrighty. So we did all of the development here, and you can actually see what the code looks like. This is what was set up here. So now this is where the image is linked, and it uses similar Bootstrap style columns and rows type classes. Lucia Blaze, cat food developer, and then it posts all the other stuff. Your LinkedIn, GitHub, sample email. Well, this is the link right here, mail to sampleemail@gmail.com. Now let's go back over here. If I go back here, there's my code. Alrighty, so I've got my website up, but now it's time to serve it. Luigi. I didn't even see. Chat said it's Luigi. Luigi is not in the name. So we go to our oh, hit the wrong thing. So if I'm in code, if I'm just in the sample repository, I can go to settings, and then down here, code and automation, pages should be right here. GitHub pages. So we go to source, we hit master, and then we can hit save. And then bam, here's that URL. And as you can see, it says site not found because it can take about a minute or so to update. But there you go. If this is all you wanted for your site, then it's as easy as that. You've got your winhacks.github.io. That's the username for this case, or at least the organization name, but that'll be your username. And then this is / your repository name. If you are good with that, then that's it. But if you want to do a custom domain, then there's more steps to that. So I'm going to update here. Now we'll give it some time. So let's say you log into your whatever site you're doing your domain in. For this case, we use Namecheap because we get to pick our name, and it's cheap. So we go to manage our domain. Then we can go to advanced DNS, something similar to manage DNS, advanced DNS. And here we have a bunch of different CNAME records. This is what we were talking about before. You would hit add new record. You would go to CNAME. In host, you would make it whatever subdomain you want, and then target will be your GitHub pages URL, this part of the URL. So in that case, it's winhacks.github.io, and that's it. You don't have to touch this. Now, of course, I already have the one I want to use, so I don't have to save it. But other than that, you would hit the little check. And like I said before, it could take anywhere from a few minutes to over an hour or so to update. So if it doesn't work automatically, that's okay. Does this work yet? Yes, it does. Here we go. So now the page actually works. Because again, it could take a couple minutes, but that's okay. Now, back to what I was saying before. If you wanted to use your Apex domain, instead of using an Apex domain, if you wanted it to just be like you type ghpages.xyz or whatever your domain is going to be, and that goes to your website, what we did is we made a CNAME record for www. And then the value. So we made the CNAME record like normal. And then we created this URL redirect record, which looks like this. We hit add record, URL redirect record. The process might be different if you're using something like GoDaddy. For host, we use a little @ symbol. Destination, we're just going to make it the same as that. And unmasked, you can leave it like that. We would save, but I already have it here. So that's how you would go about doing it. But now that we have our domain ready to go, it's time to go into GitHub Pages, custom domain. We're going to go and make it workshop. I believe that's what it was. It was workshop. GHpages.xyz. I want to make sure that I actually spelled that right. my actual domain, ghpages.xyz. Alrighty. Then you can hit save. Then notice it's saying check is in progress, the DNS check, because it's checking to see that the actual record exists. Then, hey, it worked. Well, it's checking still right here, but this may take up to 15 minutes to complete. So this site, now we have workshop.githubpages or ghpages.xyz. We have our subdomain was workshop. Then our actual domain was ghpages.xyz. Now we've got our GitHub pages configured to our subdomain. To review, first we created a repository. Then we made our website. In this case, to save time, I just used my brother's AutoMagic generator. We created our website. Then we committed our changes. We went under settings, pages. Under source, we did branch, master, and then we didn't touch this. There's no reason to touch that. And then we hit save. Then it's saved. That's it. Then to get our custom domain, we went into our DNS records for our domain, and we hit, we made a CNAME record. And of course, this one points to like my brother's account. This one points to my account. And then I have two here that points to WinHacks. Now, can I actually have two there? Of course I can. And the reason why is because the workshop subdomain points to the site we just made. The WinHacks subdomain can point to another GitHub Pages projects. But yeah, that's a little basic review of what we've done. So, back to here. Does anybody have any questions? My cats will appreciate that. She is sniffing my camera, my phone camera. That's how I got that super beautiful picture. I know we went pretty fast because GitHub Pages is really fast. But if anyone wants me to go back and repeat a step, then just let me know. Very easy. Windsor CSS. Give about another minute or so. Okay, I think we are good then. Thank you for joining us today. I hope this workshop has been useful for you, or maybe taught you something new that you didn't know before. And this is our link to the Discord server. If you haven't already joined, feel free. You can go to discord.winhacks.ca to join.